Hey, good morning. My name's John Wright. I've been awake since about 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I woke up a little after 2, probably about 2:20. You know, everybody got out of the bar. They're going home by now. I wake up to make sure they went home on time. I mean, the worries of people. I have the worries of people that they when they leave the bars, they get safely home. People get up in the morning, they get off to a good day and a good start. I mean, this is the way that I've lived, and I've lived this way for a long time. You know, I wish people well all the time because the way that I am, I didn't know that I was the Son of God. I imagine that's what it comes to. And by the way, it's not blasphemy when I say that I am who I am, and you're going to realize it someday, because if you look back at the evidence of, the Walmart flood that was in Lewis County, the snowstorm that was up at Elwyn Armstrong's house where all the roofs in the houses were falling down, um, the ring that showed up in my dresser drawer that was my stepson that got killed away, Brian and Kyle and Andy got in a car wreck. I talked about them in a previous film. When it came to talk about them, I froze up. I don't like to think about the children that are dead. And I do remember them, but it's hard and it's harsh because it was such a loss for no reason at all. Because people get messed up. They get treated bad when they're a child. They take it out on even their children in the future. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and where I get my wisdom, charm, or anything else comes from the Holy Father above, because he relentlessly comes after me and points things out in my direction. And there's things that I'd like to point out, and I get, I have a lot of bombardment that's around me. Spiritual bombardment is what I'm talking about. Something on a level that a lot of people may not understand. And I didn't understand it either. When a friend gets in a car wreck and she's dying, and you can hear her, and I heard my friend Velvet Hamilton one day. I was on the I-5 freeway right there in Napavine area where the Bethel Church is, and all of a sudden, well, it was just prior to that next exit, and I was going past it, and all of a sudden, I could hear something, and I turned that way and I looked, and I found out it was my friend Velvet Hamilton that got killed in a car wreck. You never know when's the last time you're going to see somebody. When Brian and Kyle and Andy left that night, prior to Brian leaving, he says, "It's 10:13, I gotta go, they'll lock me out." His parents was locking him out. Now, I'll tell you what, I am totally against parents locking their children out of a home. And I think that those parents should have got counseling. My ex-wife and the man that she was with, it wasn't, that was his stepson. But, the man didn't have no love for the boy. When I went over there to their home, I seen my ex-wife and I gave her a hug in her bedroom. They allowed me to even go in my wife's bedroom, that was her husband's, Chris Keys. And I gave my ex-wife a hug, and I said, "I'm so sorry for your loss." Our loss, possibly, but her loss, for sure. And it's just terrible. Before those boys left, I was talking about John Candy. I was talking about Sam Kinison, I was talking about Rodney Dangerfield. And I was telling these boys, they go out one night, these people, they're at the height of the career and they're dead. It's over. No one really knows why it happens. It just happens. Those two boys left that house that night. And Brian did get home that night, but the following night, he never. Locked out situation, I guess. And they were joyriding. They were up on the Brown Road East. Well, I have the Brown's mortuary, and I have Brown's property that lives next door to Ernie Tobeck's house. The Browns are there, and then I got Brown's. Coincidental, I'm sure. But anyway, the boys went down that road, and they ended up dying in a car wreck. The Adolphson boy, the real estate agent boy, he lived. Brian kicked out the front window and he slid out there, and the boy sat there. And I was told a graphic story about everything, and now I should protect you from that story, just like I'd like to protect you from a lot of bad things that could possibly happen. When parents don't take responsibility for raising their children, they're going to let them slip through the cracks. When I see officials that are in official positions that are not doing their job, that are not ethical, beware, the Holy Father's eyes are upon you. The city managers in all the cities across the United States, and especially right here in Camas, Washington, and Washougal, you better get your bathroom orders exactly straight real fast. Matter of fact, because I pick up garbage and I've pointed it out, I've been banned from that park up there and that park up there. These two parks right here. I am John T. Wright, and I've done nothing to nobody. But I've had these people, city managers and stuff, because I pointed the bathrooms and stuff being switched. They've banned me from people down there. They've banned me from there. How would you like to be banned from the Holy Father's Son again? He's been away for 2,000 years. And he's came back, and he's been treated like crap. Vengeance be on those that have created a circumstance that has anything to do with me. For when I pointed things out, you were jealous that I came and done such things, I guess. Or you didn't want to stand up to your responsibilities. Or you wanted to browbeat someone into submission that you cannot browbeat. And I'll say that to you very clear and right. And I'll tell you what, I have no problem with tampons being in the women's bathroom that has a vagina, and that room's on the left-hand side. And down here at the Parks and Recreation across the United States of America, all the parks, all the national parks and stuff, you better make sure your bathrooms have the women on the left side and the men's on the right side, because people need to goddamn understand that there's such a goddamn fucking screwed up mess that someone's goddamn perpetrated on others. And the city managers, such as right here in Camas, Washington, that's locked the left-hand doors of the bathrooms. Not just here in the coffee shop. They didn't have the left-hand bathroom closed. They said it was broke or something. There was an excuse why they wasn't using it at the coffee shop. Well, is it the city managers that's wanting to do that and getting everybody to walk into the right door? Donald Trump's coup? It's over. Donald Trump's going straight down to hell. He's being power driven into fucking hell. And why? Because he's the Antichrist and his time is over. And I'm telling you that just as sure as you're sitting here. Matter of fact, these little Trumpsters, hey, if you're a Republican and you're so proud of Donald Trump, why don't you go put your red hats on and your red shirts and walk around the public so we can get a good view of every one of you, each and one of your faces. You know, I read facial expressions. I read people walking. I read people talking. And I read between the lines. And there's just something. I've always had this little voice of reasoning tell me things. You know, so I guess I'm your voice of reason today. Like I said, the Vice President of the United States has been blessed by the Holy Father himself. I know it. I don't have no problem with Mr. Waltz coming to the dance because the party's on. And this is what you got. And that's how the Holy Father works through people. But everybody's got to have conviction. They've got to have honor. They got to stand up for what's right. And they got to stand up for compassion and mercy. And any of these people that drive around in these city official trucks, city managers and stuff, you're responsible for the complaints that you hear from people. I walk up to these trucks, and I'll tell you, when I first got here, people wouldn't even roll down the window and talk to somebody until I told them I'm a taxpayer. Well, I'm a taxpayer, and I'll tell you right now, those bathrooms that's in that area where I'm at, both of those doors should be open, and it should say men's on one side and women's on the other, and the women should be on the left where it is, and the men should be on the right. It looks like they've painted it over. They've blackened the words on it. They close the door. They want everybody to walk in the same door. And I asked the person last night, what's going on there? And you know what he said? They only want one door unlocked. So everybody has to be forced into that goddamn door, is what he's saying. Oh, and that one's for backup just in case this one don't work. No, that's a poor goddamn excuse for not doing your job. There's over 100 fucking people down there in that parking lot. These people deserve to have both bathrooms open, and they deserve to have the women's on the women's side and the men's on the men's, so they're not sitting there. And by the way, those doors got electronic locks on them, so when there's not even people in there, those goddamn doors lock on people, and it fucking confuses them. Sometimes this door will lock, and sometimes this door will open, or something like that, possibly. I have a motorhome. I have my own bathroom here. And by the way, when they banned me from these areas, they banned me from the only place where I can dump my RV sewer system in the county. So I'm telling you, the city managers is going to hear about it. And also, the attorney's name that's on that sheet of paper that I showed previously, now she's getting a call on Monday morning from me. And I'm going to let her have it. Matter of fact, I think God's got a plan for this one. And I don't know what it is. But I do know that shit's going downhill. And I feel like I better goddamn put a stop to it fucking right now. Because it could get bad. Because of that very thing. Look, it's the Republican Party that's trying to mix people up. I already know it. Maybe you should know it too. This is so on my mind that, you know what? I know that it's an issue with the Holy Father. I have a bathroom in my own motorhome. I don't have to fight with it. I see people, what they're doing, they have to fight with those doors and stuff at those bathrooms. It is an issue. They treat homeless people terrible. I think Donald Trump's cure for homeless people is he's going to have them deported, I guess, or murdered. You know, when I see those bathrooms, and the bathroom that I'm looking at right there, it actually reminds me of a gas chamber. It's got electronic locks right there where you can go in the door and they could lock that goddamn door and they could lock you in that bathroom even, I imagine. There's an emergency button there, but I'm sure they got an override on it too. I don't like it. That bathroom, the way that it's set up right there in that park, it looks like it could be a goddamn gas chamber. A real Hitler gas chamber right there in that park. They have the woman's side that is not working. And then you got the man's side that they're confusing people into saying it's the woman's bathroom versus the right-hand person's bathroom, getting people all fucking crazy like this. And I think that's exactly what's happening. I've met these people up along the shoreline and stuff. I've been counseling. I goddamn know. So if this is what's happening across America, Chicago and these other cities where they're having big troubles and stuff, big things are going on, mass confusion. The house of confusion was Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the Antichrist. I am the Holy Father's Son in the flesh. You can believe it or not, and I am not suffering from blasphemy. I'll tell you what, other things that happened, the previous thing I talk about, things that happened. I talked about things that happened. I'll tell you what, right there where Susan Donahoe lives, Barbara Donahoe's house at 1007 7th Street, Camas, Washington, there's a park right there. Just down from it, there's a church. I ended up going to that church, sitting there. There was a man that was sitting behind me that put his hand on my hand, and his name was John. And he was questioning me during the sermon. He says, "Are you the man that I've been waiting for?" And I said, "Yes." And this is how Revelations is. I told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I'm no more than a concerned citizen. God allows me to see the future. I've pulled 6 out of 7 lottery tickets in Washington State before. And it happened on 2 occasions on that where I got 6 out of 7 and we won thousands of dollars, and I split the money with Ernie Tobeck because I showed him and told him I was doing things, and I wanted to see him for his very eyes because I wanted him to know. Isn't this fun now, Ernie? Isn't this fun? Ernie. Now, I know you guys watch my videos. So, what I'm saying is the truth. The Holy Father's used me since I was a child. I know this has everything to do with Jacob and Esau. I know it. I seen the Lord coming in the air. I seen fire come from the sky. I seen destruction on earth. I am telling the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. I have nothing else to offer you. But I will tell you, you better treat people right. And any of those people that's in city trucks and stuff, some of you are good, and some of you are assholes. I've caught people in white trucks throwing garbage out, throwing cigarette butts out, and they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about any of the people. They just care about their fucking goddamn job and their status when they walk in the office, I guess. And I've seen a lot of people like that. And it's a goddamn shame. Shame on you wherever You sit. The Holy Father is coming down on you for treating people crappy. Yesterday, I worked out a little bit. I enjoy it, by the way. I pulled a cable out of the sand out here on the beach that no one's tempted to do, and I ripped it out. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to put it next to the garbage can so the city guy that comes down here will see that cable there, and I'll tell him where it's from. Another thing, I found cargo nets spread across the beach at the beach that I go to. I thought it was quite interesting how the cargo nets was laid out across the bonsai pipeline. There's a little pipe that comes across the thing where probably it was a septic system at once for the city use there. It was what all I could see is I see the pipes and stuff there, and I know that they got a septic thing up above there, you know, where they filter water and stuff for their discharge in Camas, Washington. And I'll tell you what, I've been banded on the strip. They want to stop me from talking to people, but they can't stop my YouTube channel now, can they? Bonnie, Ernie, nobody's going to suppress me. And by the way, it's going to affect everybody right down to the blood that runs through their veins. It's just something that you're not going to be able to get away from. Why don't you act accordingly? Why don't you treat people good? If you own guns, great. Keep them, shine them up. They're yours. Nobody really wants to take away from you. I would consider it theft. I would consider it theft if somebody came in and took your goddamn guns from you, so don't fucking argue with me. I don't think you should have guns that outmaxes your neighbors. I don't think you should have something special unless I give you a bazooka myself. Like I told Ernie Toback, I'll give you a bazooka, Ernie. But the bazooka that I give you would do much better than that one. Because my bazooka, Ernie, comes from the Holy Father himself. And I don't even try. All that somebody has to do is bring something to my attention and twist it a little bit, and it angers the Holy Father because it's upset me. The Holy Father sees what I see. You know, I've never personally wanted to will anybody to do anything. You know, I can't will somebody to love me, nor will I ever try. So whether you love me or hate me, that's on your own accord. I'm not doing it. Ethics, a standing, being able to look somebody straight in the eye, and when there's trouble, you walk straight up to it and you lay down your conviction and you come straight forward and you don't waste people's goddamn time. All that the Republicans do is they drag their feet. They get nothing goddamn done but except complain. They steal. They force people into a life of crime. The Republicans force people into a life of crime. They're like the law and they're like this at the same time. And they are even squeezing the cops to do their bidding. And police officers, it's making you look really goddamn bad if you're doing it. You know, I read most cops and I read them good. There's a couple around here that, you know, their body language says something, but it's because I'm striking the goddamn nerve. And I don't know why that went off. Because that's over. That was at 1270. The warning shouldn't have gone off on that, but it just did. Isn't that interesting? And I never seen that happen before. But regardless, I am telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Your city managers across the country better take Carmela and the vice president real serious. And you better stop your lawlessness, because it'll be the end of your career. And like I told Ernie Toback, Ernie, I make careers and I break careers every day. Remember that? I make people and I break people every day. I've went to people and said, you're out of business, and they went out of business. And why? They were unethical. Number two, they came directly against me. Look at the Caustics. They lost everything they own. You know what I told Danny Caustic in court? Stick him with a fork. He's done. Stick him with a fork. He's like a potato. He's done. Donald Trump, you could stick him with a fork. Donald Trump is done. Like my mother, her name was Dunn. Like my brother Jerry, his father-in-law, Bob Dunn. and my mother done it. My mother was doing crosswords and stuff. She was involved in the Zodiac. My dad was the Zodiac killer. This is all biblical, by the way. It all tied in. They suppressed me, and now I'm here. I didn't know what my life was about, but I did know there was things in my life that was happening. How do you feel today? Because now I'm sitting right here before your very eyes. I've got scars under my arms to prove God allowed me to be scarred in certain places for the icing on top of the cake that I just baked you. A baker's cake. Click. Rich Baker. Rich Baker was a friend of mine. My sister married him. You know, when my brother Jim at the bottom of the stairway was sitting there slugging me, Rich Baker put down his cigarette. He comes down the stairway, and that was the house that Terry Shortridge was murdered in. He came down from the stairway from upstairs, and he came down. He grabbed my brother Jim, and he just threw him across the room with one arm. You know, Jim stuck out his arms like that, or he would have flew right through the window. And I've been doing shit like that ever since. But Rich said to me, when Jim ran out the door, like a scared cat, ran out that door, like a fraidy cat. He's been running from me ever since. The Rich said to me, as long as I'm around, this is not going to be happening to you. And Rich was my protector. Matter of fact, at his funeral I spoke. At his funeral I spoke. And everybody witnessed it, and even his children witnessed what I said. They all hugged me after the end of it. And how dare this family treat me in such a way? I never had to say something kind to anybody, and I never have to say anything kind for anyone. And I'll never stand before the Holy Father and defend you if you do wrong in the Holy Father's eyes, and He's accusing you at the end of your life. I'm just telling you the way it is. And anybody that seeks to harm me, the Holy Father's eyes are upon you. And by the way, and if you do want to, I'm going to fucking pile drive you right next to Donald Trump's grave. I mean, the earth is the grave. And by the way, the Holy Father has told me his enemies will be the ashes under his feet. Well, whether you're the ashes under my feet is what I think he's saying to me. So if you're the enemy of the Holy Father's in heaven, and I am, he says to me, your life is in danger. Your very existence is in danger for all eternity. And I just want you to know, you better turn and go the correct way. The narrow path is the correct path. You know, I'm a sinner, and I'm going to be a sinner, but I admit my sins. It keeps me mentally healthy by telling people the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if I was to suppress it like all of them are trying to suppress me, they're going goo goo gaga because I'm telling the truth. It is what it is, and I'm right here before your very eyes. And by the way, the proof is in the pudding. Look back at the last history and stuff and the things that was going on in Lewis County, the damage that happened, and John Kerry even saying this is like weapons of mass destruction that's going on here. It's the winter that never ended in 2014, and I goddamn tell you, the day of the Lord did come. The Holy Father did arrive. It did happen. I witnessed Armageddon, and I participated in it. I participated in it. I am the Son of God. I am the Lord. I am the Holy Father's Son that was reborn on earth, that came through the birth of a woman. And I came breach into this world, and she hated my guts. I want everybody to have a nice day. Sunday's the first day of the week, and don't you ever forget it. Saturday is the seventh day of the week, and the Sabbath was made for man, and man was not made for the Sabbath. So maybe you should take a chill pill on Saturdays, get some rest and relaxation, detone. Don't be so frustrated. Don't go pushing people's buttons. Don't ask for people to do things for you on Saturday. Don't go shopping. Don't spend money. And by the way, if you think that I'm going to kill the economy by saying such a thing, you're just full of shit. Try it. I'll give you a challenge. Rest on Saturdays and your life will become better. You just take it one step at a time, and you're going to be moving along the right way instead of the wrong way. Your path is going to get stronger. It's not going to get weaker. I try to energize people for the best they could do at every moment of the day. Where do you feel and how do you feel today? That's your choice, and it's not mine. But it is your choice to stand up and do what's correct, because you've been told what to do and what is correct. But if you decide to do the opposite, that's not my problem. That's yours. If you want to go harm somebody else, the Holy Father will be dealing with you at the end of time, and I will not defend you. And have a great day. I say stand up and be correct. And if you have a problem with me, face me. Say it to my face, like Carmela says. Kamala. I should just call her by her name, Mrs. Harris. Because I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to offend a woman by saying her name wrong, and such as I would not want to offend a man either by saying their name wrong. You know, people can make a little bit a mountain over a molehill, but I'll tell you what, you don't want to fucking with, you just don't want to think that I'm a molehill, and you're going to fuck with it, because what you do to me is going to come back to you, a force of hell upon you. Your life, every aspect of it, the Holy Father will come right after you. You have a great day, and you have a nice day. And the Holy Father is in control, whether you realize it or not, and Donald Trump is the Antichrist. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.